Definitely a game changer. How have you noticed, Rock, throughout your college career, just the game change from the transfer portal to NIL to now the 12-team playoff? How has everything evolved so far for you?
I just noticed as I've been here, it's all about a business, you know. Programs want to win, and players want to win. So it's just a lot to go into it with NIL or transfer portal or anything like that. But it's just all about people want to win, build a winning team, and have a winning program.
I heard that. Well, winning in business. And business gets started for Memphis on the 31st versus North Alabama, then Troy, and then Florida State. So, business gets cracking for Memphis pretty quick going into the season. So, Rock, have a fantastic season, man. Congratulations being on the Biletnikoff Award watch list, and hopefully you and your teammates have a great season. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Great stuff right there from Memphis wide receiver Rock Taylor, along with Emmett Golden. I'm Hugh Myers. It's game night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. From the college game to the NFL, we'll take a look at a handful of teams to decide what a successful season will look like for them. That's next here on Game Night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This is ESPN Radio.
Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons.
Bird call! On your radio, your computer, your smart speaker, or on the ESPN app.
Mahomes and C.J. Stroud are no-brainers.
C.J. Stroud's a no-brainer over Joe Burrow.
Yeah. We're everywhere you are. This is ESPN Radio.
You found Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
Hey, BBN, stay connected to the Cats with the Big Blue Brew, the official newsletter of UK Athletics. The Big Blue Brew is completely free. Sign up today at ukathletics.com/Big Blue Brew. The Big Blue Brew hits inboxes weekday mornings and provides fans with a rundown of top news, trivia questions, unforgettable highlights, and info on upcoming events. Go to ukathletics.com/Big Blue Brew to sign up.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing.
Although we're marketing at a very broad scale, it does include specific local markets, and that's the beauty of iHeart's network.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Did you know the #1 home improvement project return on investment is garage door replacement? Upgrade your home's look and value with a new garage door from Wayne Dalton Sales and Service. For 70 years, Wayne Dalton Sales and Service has been repairing and replacing garage doors with service on all makes and models. Now, Wayne Dalton Sales and Service offers a full lineup of docks, dock equipment, and accessories. Request a free quote today at wayne-dalton.com/Cincinnati. That's wayne-dalton.com/Cincinnati.
Marty Brenneman here for Tri-State Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health for treating erectile dysfunction and low testosterone issues. And they're the leader for a reason, because I can tell you from my own experience of being treated there, Tri-State Men's Health is top shelf. Far too many men wait to get their ED treated, but I want to tell you today that you shouldn't wait any longer. If you're suffering with ED and are like most guys, a medical team at Tri-State Men's Health will get you back on track fast. They have the experience, they have the treatment protocols, and they know what they're doing. At Tri-State Men's Health, they have ED treatments that are effective in well over 90% of men. They can even combine treatments for better results. You might even find yourself performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment today. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. They have 6 offices in the tri-state area to serve you.
From the ESPN 1530 studio. Built by Madewell Restoration. Make sure your home's exterior is made well. Visit MadewellRestoration.com.
My boyfriend drinks too much. I found help and support at Al-Anon Family Groups. Is someone's drinking troubling you? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon Family Group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Cincy 360.
It was such a disappointing loss for many reasons last night.
It's a playground for sports fans like you.
Really?
Cincy 360. Tomorrow at 12 noon on ESPN 1530.
The football Football season never ends.
We ain't done yet.
Camp to camp.
When you go through the offseason that I've been through, you want to do it again.
Team to team.
When you knock us down, we're going to get up.
The Super Bowl is a goal.
The countdown rolls on right here on ESPN Radio.
Countdown does roll on 16 days away from that Thursday night football game, getting the 2024 season officially underway. It's game night on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and TuneIn. We're presented by Progressive Insurance with my guy Emmett Golden. I'm Q Myers, and Emmett, I'm always down to have some fun, man. I'm always down to have some fun. Love to look at, obviously, NFL action. As I mentioned, 16 days away from the start of the season. We need to take a look, and I think there's a handful of teams that we really need to break down and talk about what a successful season will look like. Of course, we got to add a game night style to it, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm. The New York Jets.
There you go. I like the confirmation. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You still riding off that Gardo's victory. That's all you care about.
I'm
That's
hanging 10 tonight. I'm riding that wave, baby.
I heard that. Well, let's ride that wave with that New York Jets. We've talked about them in great detail. Well, we talked about it, feels like, for a couple seasons now because of the disappointment last year. But it's a new year. Aaron Rodgers is back healthy. When you look at this team, with everything that goes into play, what is a successful season for the Jets?
As far as I'm concerned, if they make the playoffs. It feels like it's been a while since they did that. And I know Aaron Rodgers, everybody's like, oh, they're, Super Bowl contenders. We throw Super Bowl contender around way too liberally.
But don't they have to be a Super Bowl contender? Like, isn't that has to be like the goal because of Aaron Rodgers? I'm not saying they are, but isn't that got to be the end-all, be-all because of Aaron Rodgers?
But isn't everybody's goal to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but everyone's not in that same – they're not in that conversation.
Yeah, I guess so, but – to me, like, if they make the AFC Championship game, to say that it was a failure is crazy.
Right.
So that's why I don't think that the Super Bowl is their successful season. I think if they could make the playoffs and get some of their younger players some playoff experience, I think that's a win for them.
I do think a playoff appearance is a successful season. I just think in the grand scheme of things, when you look at Aaron Rodgers and the age and the fact that you don't know year in and year out how long he's going to be around, you want to get everything you can now. When they say, I want my money and I want it now? Like that's, if you're the Jets, if you're Robert Saleh, if you're anyone in that building, you're like, hey, I want my money, I want it now. But in reality is, you're probably going to get like a 20-year payment plan, right?
Yes.
It's not it ain't all going to come to you in one chunk, right? It's like you won the lotto and you ain't got the option of taking the bulk of the cash, right? It's just
right.
In reality, that's what it is. I think in everyone's mind there in the building, it's a Super Bowl run is that successful season. But I think in reality, like you said, it's a playoff berth. And if they do get to the playoffs, well, then anything is possible. How about team number 2?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What is a successful season for a team that's been 12-5, 12-5, 12-5? You know what I mean? Like, that's who they are. And that last thing I remember from them is they got kicked out the club in their own house by the Green Bay Packers, got ran out the gym. What would be a successful season for the team that currently does not have CeeDee Lamb in camp, has Dak Prescott on an expiring contract, can't franchise him, can't trade him, has their head coach on an expiring contract, has their defensive coordinator on an expiring contract, has all the coaches on expiring contracts, and brought back Zeke Elliott? What is a successful season for that?
I think it's the NFC championship. If they make it to an NFC championship game, I think that's a great season for the Cowboys. Do I think it's likely? No. But, them making the playoffs is not a big deal. Winning a playoff game, I still would be like, yeah, but that shouldn't be a big deal for you guys either. So if they make it to an NFC championship game, for me, that's a successful season for the Cowboys.
I mean, that's definitely a successful season. I'm with you. I don't see that happening. I don't think that this team is better than they were last year. Now, I just saw them up close and personal on Saturday as the Raiders played them in a preseason game, and definitely not going to overreact to a preseason game. But they got some depth as far as the defense goes, right? I think that the defense led by Mike Zimmer is going to be pretty good. I just don't know. I don't know what the rest of the team looks like. I really don't. Yeah. And I have so many questions. Basically, the business side of things when it comes to this team, I just don't know. And then don't forget, Emmett, no team ever wins the NFC East back-to-back years.
This is true.
You know what I mean? So that's another element. that plays a factor in this conversation when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys and we're talking about teams that, what is it that will say that they had a successful season in 2024 here on Game Night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app? How about team number 3?
The Miami Dolphins.
Okay, Tua got paid.
Yeah.
He's got a coach that loves him. Got a coach that believes in him. A coach that says you're accurate. You're perfect for the system. Right? He's got great guys, great players like Tyreek Hill. A little bit banged up, but I'm sure he'll be okay. Jalen Waddle, fantastic. Right? He's got a really strong run game. Offense is where it needs to be. Defense is a little bit questionable, but we'll see. What is the Miami Dolphins? What's a successful season for them?
The AFC Championship game. For me, that's where they got to
win a playoff game first, Jack.
Sure. With all that talent, if they win a playoff game, that's cool. But I don't know if people would say like, oh, yeah, this was a great season for them. So I think it's the AFC Championship game. You're paying your quarterback big-time money. A playoff win shouldn't be good enough.
I mean, look, they'd be doing something that they haven't done.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, having a playoff victory is something for them. I think that I don't think that they're leaps and bounds, right? I mean, we talked about the Jets and the chance that they're most likely not going to make a Super Bowl run, but they got to get into the playoffs. I look at the Dolphins as the same team.
Yeah.
Right? They've had just as much success, if not less, than the Jets have. Well, they've had a little bit more, but not much.
Right.
I mean, it's been a long drought for them, too. A very long drought. There's a handful of teams. The team I happen to cover here in Vegas with the Raiders is another one that's had a very long drought. So Miami's right there, man. I think if they make it to the playoffs and they win a game, I think that's a step in the right direction. Last time we saw them in the postseason, they were getting kicked out the building there at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. How about, team number 4?
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Had to make sure we were on team number 4.
Yeah.
All right, how about this? How about the L.A. Chargers? Jim Harbaugh in his first year. Justin Herbert is the quarterback that he talked about even when he was there at Michigan. Justin Herbert's dealing with the plantar fascia on his right foot, but it sounds like he's out of the boot and starting to practice a little bit. They're going to get him ramped up, I say that in air quotes, for the start of the season. So what's a successful season year 1 under Jim Harbaugh?
Over 500. You know what I'm saying? 9 and 8. I think would be a good starting point for this team. Now I know, again, they're paying the quarterback a lot of money, a lot more than over 500. But in reality, the Chargers are kind of starting over a little bit. New head coach, a lot of guys they let leave, and because they had salary cap issues and all that. If they're over 500, I think it's a solid year for the Chargers.
I think that they need to, if they want to have a solid year, they have to be at least in the mix for the wild card spot.
Yeah,
at least in the mix. I'm not saying that they have to go.
I think 9 and 8 does that. I think 9 and 8 does that.
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, 9 and 8 last year in the AFC. 9 and 8 was the Bengals. They were the number 8 seed. The 9 and 8 was the Jaguars. They were the number 9 seed. 9 and 8 was the Colts. They were the 10 seed. So that's all right there. That's down to week 18, game 17. Right there, still in wild card contention. So I think that that's where they need to be if they want to have a successful season. I don't think this is a playoff team. I don't think this team is going to make a deep run. I sure as hell don't think that they should have the 8th highest odds to get to the Super Bowl like it is according to ESPN Bet, like have the same odds the Browns do. I still call BS on that, but that's just me. I don't see that at all. But I do think that they're going to get better over time. That time is not right now. All right, next team.
The Atlanta Falcons.
I forgot what number we on, so I just got to pick next.
Oh, next is the best way to go. Yeah, next is the best way to go.
It's like a batting order, and I don't want to bat out of order. That's an automatic out.
Put it on Renee. Right? Hey, man, you got to figure it out. Right. You got to figure it out.
All right, how about this interesting team, the Atlanta Falcons? They got 2 quarterbacks, and normally when you say you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. But I feel like they literally have 2 quarterbacks in Kirk Cousins. They've been making moves to increase their defense. Matthew Judon, they trade for. They signed Justin Simmons in free agency. Raheem Morris is their new head coach, is defensive-minded. They've got weapons in Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, other Drake London. They've got players. They've got playmakers. What would be a successful season for the Atlanta Falcons in a division that's not the toughest division in football?
And that's where I was going. Winning said division is a successful year for the Falcons. They've been my pick to win the NFC South. I like what they did at quarterback and having Kirk Cousins there. And, I like Kirk Cousins, but for people that don't, they got a guy that many people believe in as his backup in Penix. So I like the Falcons a lot. If they win the division, I think that's a successful season for them.
Let me ask you a question, man. Why is Michael Penix on the shelf right now as far as the preseason goes? Why are they not showing him a little bit more?
It's interesting. I don't know. There's some conspiracy theories out there that maybe they're trying to keep him healthy because maybe Kirk isn't 100%, but I don't know. I wish I knew. I know I expected him to play on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did. And out of nowhere, he didn't. So, I don't know. Maybe he's dealing with something that they haven't disclosed. But that is very interesting.
It really is, especially for a guy that you don't expect to get a lot of burn his rookie year because he's sitting behind a guy named Kirk Cousins. He's Emmett Golden. I'm Q Myers. It's Game Night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Going through NFL teams, and we're trying to decide what a successful season looks like for them. How about the next team?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Come on now. 10-1 in 2023. Finished up the season 11-6 and got booted out of the club by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the postseason. What would a successful season look like for Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, a team that lost some veterans, including Jason Kelsey at the center position? What are you looking at for Philly, man?
If Sirianni and Hurts could get along, it'll be a successful season. You can't botch a 10-1 start because they were 10-1, and I don't know many people that actually believe that they were a Super Bowl contender. And after 11 weeks, having one loss, you would say, they should be the favorites to win a Super Bowl. But everybody felt like it was done with smoke and mirrors and the tush push and all of that. So, outside of the jokes, man, they got to not collapse at the end of the season. I think that's a successful year for them if they don't fall off the map when it means the most.
I think they got to bounce back and win the NFC East.
Okay.
I really do. I mentioned it before. No team usually wins the NFC East back-to-back years. It's been so many years, like 14, 15 seasons since that's happened. Mm-hmm. I think that they need to bounce back and remove the Dallas Cowboys from the top of the NFC East, kick them off that throne that they're sitting on, and they need to win and show that last year's collapse was a fluke and that all is good between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. Because if it's not, guess what? Nick Sirianni is going to be looking for a new job. Right. They ain't going to boot Jalen Hurts out of there. They just gave him the bag. He's part of the $50 million a year club.
Yeah.
He ain't going nowhere. So they're going to have to figure out who's going to get along with him. So that's going to be the biggest question. Can he be that guy? Can he show that leadership and take this team to the next level? That's going to be the big question. I think there's so many questions going on in Philadelphia about that team. I told anybody who would listen, something went down pretty funky in that locker room last year, and it led to their collapse at the end of the season. Can they bounce back and make it a lot better than what it was? We'll soon find out. He's Emmett Golden. I'm Q Myers. Brian Flores, he responds to Tua, what he had to say. That's next here on Game Night.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming on Wednesday. We'll continue to react to Tua's interview. Plus, I can't wait to hear how Dolphins fans try to defend him this time. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
ESPN 1530, Cincinnati's sports station.
What does summertime in the Ohio River Valley mean to you? From the deck of a BB riverboat, it means a breeze on the water, lush views, and a historic cruise by the Queen City skyline. BB Riverboats offers an experience as unforgettable as childhood summers. This season, let our crew take care of yours as you cruise the mighty Ohio. BB Riverboats. The river is waiting.
Hey there. What's for dinner tonight? Takeout? Again. Remember your last order. Soggy fries with a side of $12 fees, plus the 1-hour delivery time? You can do better. Get Factor's fresh, chef-crafted meals delivered right to your door, all ready in just 2 minutes. Try a mouth-watering shredded chicken taco bowl or creamy tomato and goat cheese chicken cavatappi. I know what you're thinking. Could dinner really be this easy? With Factor, it's always this easy. Factor. Fresh, never frozen meals in 2 minutes.
I'm John Walzak, host of the new podcast, Missing in Arizona.
And I'm Robert Fisher, one of the most wanted men in the world.
We cloned his voice using AI. In 2001,
police say I killed my family and rigged my house to explode
before escaping into the wilderness.
Police believe he is alive.
Join me.
I'm going down in the cave
as I track down clues.
I'm going to call the police and have you removed.
Hunting.
One of the most dangerous fugitives in the world.
Robert Fisher.
Do you recognize my voice?
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Missing in Arizona.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Did you know if you're an adult living with asthma or COPD, getting sick with pertussis may result in severe complications? Pertussis, or whooping cough, is a serious respiratory illness. Vaccination is the best way to help protect against pertussis. Speak to your healthcare provider to ensure you are up to date on your Tdap vaccination. Learn more at lung.org.
This is 1530 WCKY, Cincinnati. The 50,000-watt orange and black home of the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. The Red Sox bounce back with a tight win in Houston, 6-5 over the Astros. Boston, trying to hang around in the AL wildcard race, needed some key swings to take down one of the hottest teams in baseball. In a tie game in the 8th, Jarren Duran delivered.
Here's Duran. He swings and drives one high into left field. It's back at the track. It's at the wall. Gone! Jarren Duran goes deep, and the Red Sox lead it 6-5. For the second time in as many nights, Duran says hello to the Crawford boxes, and Boston pulls ahead.
Call on WEEI. Duran went 4 for 4 in the win, matching his season high for hits. Tristan Casas added 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Astros went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, losing for just the second time in their last 13 games. Red Sox now 3.5 games behind the Royals for the last AL wildcard spot. Kansas City's 5-game winning streak coming to an end tonight, fall to the Angels 9-5. Zach Neto hit a go-ahead homer for LA. Tyler Anderson got the win on the bump. First Angels lefty since Hector Santiago in 2016 to reach the 10-win plateau. In tennis, world number 1 Jannik Sinner avoiding a suspension after testing positive for an anabolic steroid twice. Tennis Integrity Agency determined it entered his system unintentionally.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, we'll continue to react to Tua's interview. Plus, I can't wait to hear how Dolphins fans try to defend him this time. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
From Studio Q in Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Game Night with Q Myers on ESPN Radio.
Here we go. If you woke up every morning and I told you you suck at what you did, that you don't belong, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you you are the best fit for this, how would it make you feel?
You know, I think there's a lot of players that have grown since I've been here, and that growth is, all that I care about.
Genuinely happy for the success that Tua's had, and I really wish him nothing but the best. Player relationships are very important to me.
This is Game Night with Q Myers on ESPN Radio.
Tua made a lot of noise when he made an appearance on the Dan Le Batard show and talked about the relationship between him and his coach when he was a rookie there in Miami, and Brian Flores, who is now a defensive coordinator there with the Minnesota Vikings. And to say that things did not go too well is a massive understatement. It is Game Night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and tune in. We're presented by Progressive Insurance with my guy Emmett Golden. I am Q Myers, and Emmett, I mean, what we heard from Tua, his thoughts on what went down between him and Brian Flores, and how basically Coach Flo just did not want him there in South Beach at all, was one of those that was kind of eye-opening for both of us. We also kind of tried to take it with a grain of salt, thinking, okay, well, there's multiple sides to the conversation, and it also could be a case of just, tough coaching, old school, hard-nosed, tough coaching. Well, it clearly does not sound like it ended up being tough, hard-nosed coaching. And matter of fact, Brian Flores had something to say about some of the things that Tua had to say about him, including calling him a terrible person.
That hit me in a way that I wouldn't say was positive for me, but at the same time, I've got to use that and say, hey, how can I grow from that? How can I be better? And that's really where I'm at from that standpoint. Do I feel like that's me? No. But how can I grow from that situation and create a world where that's not the case, that anyone says that about Brian Flores?
I do appreciate that he didn't throw any shade or any shots back at Tua. It sounds there, he goes, yeah, it hurt, but I need to look at myself and the self-accountability, right? What I talked about last night. It seems like Brian Flores is going that route. So I appreciate that, because it could have got ugly and he could have, thrown shots back, and it could have been a tit for tat thing. He didn't go that route, and I didn't expect him to. So I do appreciate that he kind of took the criticism constructively and didn't start blaming Tua.
And I think that he had no option. Emmett. I mean, there's a couple options here. He could have not responded at all and just said, hey, I'm not in Miami, I'm in Minnesota. I'm not talking about anything that's coming out. But I don't think with the situation that he's in right now, he had too many options on what he can do. And he had to take it the way he did, take the self-accountability, as you mentioned. Look, he's a defensive coordinator in Minnesota. He's also got a lawsuit against the NFL. Right, I think the Texans are involved in that lawsuit. The NFL in general, I believe the Raiders are part of that lawsuit. There's multiple teams that he's included in this lawsuit because he wants to be a head coach in the National Football League, and really is saying that they're discriminating against him for hiring. This situation, to me, in just my opinion, Tua coming out and saying all these bad things about what he did and the way he treated him and texted him the night before games, don't blow it. Like, none of that screams that's head coaching material. So I feel like he had to take it on the chin, really show that he has grown as a person from that, if he ever wants a chance to be a head coach in the league again.
No doubt. And he's kind of got to repair his image. Also, a logical thinker would say that's why he didn't get any head coaching job offers. That's why he got fired, because he was treating a high draft pick, a quarterback, like that. And nobody's going to hire you if that's the type of relationship you kind of have around the building. I even talked to some people today that were in Miami at the time, and they told me, no. Tua is absolutely right. That was the environment. Everybody knew that Brian Flores did not want Tua. He did. He just flat out didn't want him as the quarterback, and evidently he let Tua know that, which I don't think is a great job. I don't think, whether you want him or not, that's your quarterback. You need to get the best out of him, and obviously he did not. With all that being said, you got to, at Tua, you should be at your best now. You have a guy that believes in you, that fit you offense that's designed kind of around you. So whatever, if there are shortcomings, because I'm not going to just assume that Tua struggles this year or the Dolphins struggles, but if there are any shortcomings this year, not Brian Flores' fault.
No, not at all. He's Emmett Golden. I'm Q Myers. It's Game Night on ESPN Radio. But I do wonder how this is going to impact Brian Flores in his quest to someday become a head coach in the National Football League. Here's Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst. He was a guest on Get Up talking about that exact subject.
Obviously the way things went in Miami, there's a lot of context to all of that. And I think there are a lot of people that feel like, Brian Flores, would have had a shot, or maybe still has a shot at becoming a head coach once again, even with some of the stuff that's going on in terms of, how things went in Miami. I think when you look at Tua's success without Brian Flores, and now what Tua is saying, it might be a little bit harder for Brian Flores to become a head coach once again. I think that's clear. So much of how you're judged as a head coach is, how you can coach and develop quarterbacks. And if you can't, you're probably not going to get another shot to be a head coach.
And so much of it is relationship building, because we're close to it. Look, the majority of players spend 95% of their time with their position coaches, and then the coordinators and then the head coach. So if you're a head coach and you're having a profound negative effect on your quarterback when you're not even with them 24/7, that's a problem, and you probably won't get another opportunity. But I will say, going through this, I'd be shocked if he ever tried to pull that off again, that if he did get an opportunity, something tells me he'd approach things differently this time.
Well, I think that's why across the league we're seeing more leaders hired, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing guys like Mayo in New England, more of a leader. I'm here in Las Vegas. Antonio Pierce gets hired to be the Raiders head coach, a leader, right? I mean, when Josh McDaniels got fired, Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, said, I need a leader. I don't necessarily need an X's and O's guy. I need a leader, right? You look at Dan Campbell in Detroit, right? Good coach, great leader, right? I mean, you're seeing more examples around the National Football League of just pure leaders, not necessarily X's and O's, dude. I had a guy told me that played in the National Football League for a long time, Mike Pritchard, a wide receiver drafted in the first round by the Atlanta Falcons back in the day. He said, Q, you can get an X's and O's guy anywhere. You can. X's and O's guys, I don't want to say they grow on trees. That sounds disrespectful, but you can find X's and O's guys. You can't find natural leaders. You can't find the guys that can get in front of a group of men, a group of alphas, and get them to follow them through, a brick wall, and trust that, you know what, he's going to get into it with us. He's going to lead us through it. He's not going to tell us to go through it. He's going to lead us through it with him. We're going to follow his lead. There ain't a lot of those dudes, and that's why I think you're starting to see more and more of those guys get hired in the National Football League. So when you hear this kind of report about Brian Flores and the way, as a first-time head coach, he was trying to lead and coach Tua and the Dolphins, that doesn't scream leadership the way that it needs to be, the way that that players need to be led these days.
Yeah, I also think the other head coach that's coaching style that's in vogue is the offensive mind, the young, innovative, the Kevin O'Connell, the Mike McDaniel, the Kevin Stefanski, those type of guys who are leaders as well, but they're more of the offensive minds, and they work very, very close with the quarterbacks. What's funny is Brian Flores is known as a defensive coach, and he just destroyed his offensive side of the ball, which, no, you depend on him. That's where I think his biggest mistake was, instead of leading everybody, it's almost like, I'm going to lead the defense until the offense don't mess it up. Don't mess up what we're doing, and you can't be divided. You got to make the entire team believe that you believe in them, and when you're flat out telling the quarterback you don't, sometimes you got to lie. All right, lying is not good. I'm not saying that it's cool, but
hold on. Look to your kids. It's tune in right now. Hold on. Let Emmett Golden's kids listen while he's talking about lying.
I'm just saying, if you want to get the best out of a quarterback that you don't like, telling them you don't like them is not going to get the best out of them, right? The whole reverse psychology ain't going to work in that situation. So he had an opportunity to try to motivate and inspire, and he just totally went the wrong with this Tua thing.
Yeah, sometimes you got to gas up that player, right? You just got to gas them up so they believe in themselves, right? And you may question even what you're saying, but sometimes you've got to have that, I got your back. I believe in you. We can get through this together. You going to be all right. So the good thing is Tua doesn't have to worry about Brian Flores. Brian Flores doesn't have to worry about Tua, but I do, and I am interested in where these, comments, how much, damaging effect they can have on Brian Flores and his quest to be a coach in the National Football League. He's Emmett Golden. I'm Q Myers. It's Game Night on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options. An easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations. Jerry Jones may need to call Progressive. He may need an insurance plan because he's got some real deal questions in Big D, including what's going on with CeeDee Lamb. We'll break that down next here on Game Night on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The countdown to kickoff rolls on. 16 days until the NFL's opening night.
Time for some football, baby!
The countdown rolls on right here on ESPN Radio. Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
ESPN 1530 Cincinnati. Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. ESPN 1530, an iHeartRadio station.
Get ready to win your way to our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Presented by Capital One. And $1,000.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
September 20th and 21st.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Buy tickets now at AXS.com.
One of the most anticipated live music events of the year.
You have to see this to believe it.
Brought to you by Hyundai's lineup of electric vehicles. Electrifying your summer and your journey to the iHeartRadio Music Festival.
And now another insurance story from
Smart Bunny. Smart Bunny.
Why is it raining inside?
It's not raining. Our upstairs neighbor tried to fix his own sink. It didn't go well. Now his broken pipes are flooding our apartment.
Oh, so we're just out of luck.
Nah, I got us renter's insurance from Smart Bunny. When we moved in, I downloaded the Smart Bunny app and got coverage in just 60 seconds.
It was that easy?
Seamless. I guess we're lucky to have it.
Seems more smart than lucky.
Well, I didn't want to toot my own horn.
Your horn is underwater anyway.
Get up to $100,000 of personal liability coverage and up to $40,000 of contents insurance with only a $250 deductible for as low as $15 a month. Hop on the Smart Bunny app now and grab some renter's insurance.
Oh, look, the ceiling is collapsing.
We're covered.
Smart Bunny Insurance.
Smart Bunny. Smart Bunny.
Your insurance super app. Insurance is sold by Smart Bunny Insurance Services and underwritten by various companies. Coverage exclusions and limitations may apply.
Child abuse is not a bad parent problem.
Keeping families out of crisis in the first place
is how we prevent it
from ever happening.
Go to preventchildabuse.org and
let's solve child abuse before it ever happens.
The Bengals and Colts in their final preseason game. Coverage starts tomorrow at 3 on ESPN 1530, the official home of the Bengals.
Airs it out for Lamb. He's got it. He's gone.
The best play for the Cowboys, throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb.
This is the one making the plays for the Dallas Cowboys.
CeeDee Lamb with a spectacular grab.
Find out where CeeDee Lamb is. I think it's turning into that for Dallas.
He's CeeDee Lamb. He's going to make plays. That's what he's about.
You know, we talked earlier in the show about what a successful season would look like for a handful of teams, the Dallas Cowboys being one of them. But unfortunately for the Cowboys, anytime we talk about them, we're talking about contract situations, whether it's their quarterback, Dak Prescott, or their star wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb. It's game night on ESPN Radio on the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and tune in. We are presented by Progressive Insurance with Emmett Golden. I'm Q Myers. And Emmett, when it comes to the Cowboys, any single time that Jerry's in front of anyone, there's a microphone in his face. They're asking him about contract. Anytime Mike McCarthy is in front of a microphone, they're asking about contract. Right now, they can't get a word in edgewise about what the upcoming season is looking like, what their expectations are about, because all things Cowboys related have to do with money and contracts, and in particular, CeeDee Lamb.
And I think that's the way Jerry Jones likes it. I really think he loves the attention because it's really easy to
He's got a star. They got a star on their helmet. They can get all the attention they want from activity on the field, though.
Q, you know like I know. This man holds a press conference after games, right? How many owners does that? Like, this guy is always looking for the cameras, always looking for the microphones. So, the longer this goes on, the more I think, like, this was the plan, that he doesn't care about the money. He's going to pay him whenever he feels like it. It's not about the cash. It's about the attention, because Jerry, every time a reporter sees him, Jerry. And I think he loves that.
Well, guess what? Let's go ahead and put a microphone in front of him, because why wouldn't we? Jerry Jones being talked about contracts, of course.
Anything new or updates on CD and his contract?
I don't think anything update other than we're conscientiously working to get something done.
When you see like CD's tweet, I was out here last week also. When you see his tweet, what did that make you feel any kind of way to know that was on social media?
Well, I don't want it to be misconstrued. We obviously do this because of how bad we want to be together. I know he wants to be a Dallas Cowboy, and we want him to be a Dallas Cowboy. So I don't flare too much when we see something that might be taken the wrong way. I really don't.
And then with Dak, is there any kind of progress or any update that you're able to provide with that?
Well, I don't want to say anything is progress, but it's ongoing. And that's just the nature of what you have when you've got an agreement and you're still working to get a new one.
Yeah. You don't want anything to be misconstrued or anything like that.
It's ongoing.
You're hanging around the rim.
Hey, Q. I can't say it's progress because it's ongoing. And that's how it is when you want a contract, but you're under contract and you want a new one. I don't know.
They have to take care of it because Dak Prescott, we're going to find out what type of person Dak is, because a lesser man would be like, this is my last year. Y'all don't want to pay me, fine. Don't pay me. All right. We're haggling over this. Fine. Me and Mike McCarthy will ride off into the sunset after this season, since neither one of us have a contract. I doubt Dak goes that route, but
I think it'd be smart for him to say that, and this is why. I think it'd be smart for him to say that, just because, one, that would make a huge buzz around the National Football League, because there's some team out there that's going to be willing to pay him what he wants
right now. It will give you 4 number ones for him. Yes.
I mean, they would do something right now, but that would put the heat on the Cowboys to just hurry up and get it done, right? Because then there's so much conversation around, Dak next year, and, hey, Jerry, did you hear what Dak said about this is your last year? What, are you guys going to sit down? I mean, that would just kind of muddy the water that much more. I'm with you. I don't think Dak would do something like that. I think that Dak's going to let this thing play out because he's in a great position of power right now. There's nothing Jerry and the Cowboys can do to stop him from walking if he does get to the end of the season without a contract and he decides he wants to go. He's going to get paid regardless, whatever the case may be. I just think for this team, they don't need to have all these conversations. I realize it's only the preseason. Games aren't won and lost. Championships aren't won and lost right now. But, man, I mean, if you're Mike McCarthy, I would say if you're Jerry Jones, you're tired of talking about it, but Jerry clearly isn't. But if you're Mike McCarthy and if you're Dak Prescott, aren't you tired of hearing about your contract? And, hey, is there anything? Is there any update? Is there any update? Like, man, this thing should have been done so long ago. They kept pushing this pushing this and kicking this can down the road to the point where they didn't realize that the road ended. And now they're falling off the cliff.
Yeah.
Now they're like, oh, dang. We got to go get that can. It's all the way down in the river now. It's floating down the lake. It's gone too far now. They could have got this done a long time ago, and this wouldn't be a conversation. They could have actually more salary cap space right now because a contract extension would lower the cap hit that these guys are on the contracts, on the salary cap right now. It would lower that. And they could be worried about the season and worried about putting their best foot forward when the season gets started because they're a team that's all in and trying to get it done.
I will say this way has us talking about contracts and not how the Cowboys have been a disappointing team the past couple years. Like we're not having that conversation.
But they haven't been that disappointing. I mean, in the playoffs,
well, in the playoffs they have.
Right.
In the playoffs they have. You know, look, 12-5 is great. There's a lot of teams that'll take 12-5 every year, but when you get to the playoffs and you don't do anything after going 12-5, after a while it's like 12. If every day is a sunny day, what's a sunny day? If you go 12-5 every year and never win a Super Bowl, then what is 12-5, right? But we're distracted from that now because we're focused on this contract stuff.
Honestly, I'm not distracted from it. I don't think this team is better. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're better than they were last year. I don't think that they're better. I mean, Dak is still Dak. CD, when he gets back at some point, I believe he's going to be CD. But I don't think that the running back room got better, right? I think that the offensive line still has questions at times, right? I mean, their defense, I think that they're going to be really good. I do believe that, but they were really good last year. So I don't look at this team and say, wow, they really improved off what they did last year. Like, I don't see that. Now, I'm not there covering the team every day. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But I don't see a better team right now than what I saw get kicked out the playoffs last year by the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I mean, but even if they didn't get better, they're 12-5. You know, they prove that they're 12-5, and really the Eagles are their only competition in the NFC East. I don't, have a lot of faith in the Giants or the Commanders. So worst case scenario, and maybe Jerry's looking at it like, hey, we don't need to improve. We just need another opportunity in the playoffs because last year they were the best team in the NFC East. Well, history will tell us that they won't be this year because, the same team never wins the East, but it's a very weird situation, and we're focused on CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Really, instead of all of that madness of why didn't they improve? Why do they have a coach going into a lame duck season instead of ripping the Band-Aid off and go find the guy that you want to be there for a long time? Same thing with obviously we're focused on the quarterback. Like, why wouldn't you just pay Dak if you love him so much, right? Just pay him and he'll be here for a while. And that seems to be the focus of the conversation. I think that's what Jerry wants.
I mean, look, their schedule ain't nothing to shake a stick at. They open up, as you know, in Cleveland, taking on the Browns.
Yeah.
Then they host the New Orleans Saints. Okay, you might get a dub there. Then they're hosting the Baltimore Ravens. I think that's a L. Then they're on the road to New York. I think that's a dub. At Pittsburgh, that's questionable. Host the Lions. That's a very good Lions team coming in. Then they're in San Francisco taking on the 49ers. Like, none of that's easy. Right? I mean, there's a couple games that you look at, you're like, okay, I can see them favored in that game, but they can really get off to a rough start. And then you're talking about, well, what happened with this team this season? Because, well, all we really talked about all offseason was their contract or their lack of contracts. What about Aaron Rodgers? How's he feeling about this season? What's up next?
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Wednesday, the day is finally here. I'm going to reveal my final 6 teams on my journey for a new football team at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. It's in Sportsman like 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
ESPN 1530.
Win your way to our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One. September 20th and 21st.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Keep listening for your next chance to be there.
Airport Paint and Body has been serving the tri-state area for 15 years with 3 generations of experience and ICAR certified technicians. We offer the finest insurance-based collision and auto body repair in the area. Go to airportpaintandbody.com to schedule your estimate today.
I'm John Walzak, host of the new podcast Missing in Arizona.
And I'm Robert Fisher, one of the most wanted men in the world.
We cloned his voice using AI. In 2001,
police say I killed my family and rigged my house to explode
before escaping into the wilderness.
Police believe he is alive.
Join me.
I'm going down in the cave.
As I track down clues.
I'm going to call the police and have you removed.
Hunting.
One of the most dangerous fugitives in the world.
Robert Fisher.
Do you recognize my voice?
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Missing in Arizona.
Get ready to win your way to our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Presented by Capital One. And $1,000.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
September 20th and 21st.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Buy tickets now at AXS.com.
This year, you can be there to witness all of the incredible once-in-a-lifetime performances live and in person. Buy your iHeartRadio Music Festival tickets now, starting at just $55 plus taxes and fees at AXS.com.
Sensory sensitivity, repetitious behavior, lack of eye contact. You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Cincy 360 with Tony Pike.
Do we want to move on or do I have to keep going?
And Austin Elmore.
I think you should continue. Let me keep going then.
Cincy 360 today at 12 noon on ESPN 1530.
In the majors this season, Cleveland finally taking the lead in the 12th. Then David Fry broke it open.
Tompkins ready, hands just below the chin. The pitch swung out a flare, headed toward right, on the run, diving as Soto can't make the catch, gets by him and a roll to the wall. That is going to clear the bases. Kwan, Ramirez, Freeman all scoring, Fry in sliding with a triple. There it is, a 3-run triple to right center by David Fry.
Call on WTAM 1100. Lane Thomas delivered the go-ahead RBI double in the inning. Jose Ramirez added an RBI single as well. Yankees had the winning run on in the 10th and the 11th. Couldn't push it across. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge homered. Yankee pitching issued 14 walks in the game, most since September of 1993. Yanks fall into a tie atop the AL East with the Orioles after the loss and the Baltimore win over the Mets. Tonight, pair of potential playoff teams playing in L.A., Dodgers and Mariners. Seattle can gain ground with a win after the Astros lost tonight. They're on top 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Jorge Polanco has been the offense tonight, driven in all 3 runs with a single in the first and a double to score 2 in the third. Pair of solo shots for the Dodgers to get them on the board tonight. Gavin Lux and Max Muncy with big flies.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Wednesday, the day is finally here. I'm going to reveal my final 6 teams on my journey for a new football team at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Touchdown, Aaron Rodgers.
is the best thing that has happened to the Jets since they drafted Joe Namath.
I love Aaron Rodgers with something to prove in a new city.
Rodgers to throw. Touchdown!
Everybody wants to win MVP. Anyone who says they don't is lying.
Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, take two. That's what they're looking for in 2024 after missing the entire 2023 season after just 4 plays. It's Game Night on ESPN Radio on the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80 and tune in, presented by Progressive Insurance with Emmett Golden. I'm Q Myers. And when it comes to the Jets, Emmett, we knew what the expectations were a season ago. We know what the expectations are this season. It's just as high, if not more, than what we remember going into last year. So where are you with the Jets right now? What are your thoughts on what they've got going on with Aaron Rodgers returning?
I think they have a great chance to be in it all year long in the AFC East and just in the AFC overall. Can they win the East? I don't know. I guess, you got a shot as long as everybody stays healthy. Rodgers has talked about this being a tough camp, and I think the reason for that is Robert Saleh understands the guys have to get ready. They got to be ready because you and I talk about it all the time. Typically, the first 4 games of the regular season is the preseason. It just counts, and you can't read too much in to the early weeks, but we keep score and keep track of all the stats and everything, and they can't afford to start off slow. And the most important thing is keeping Aaron Rodgers healthy.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And they've got their Monday Night Football season debut versus San Francisco 49ers on the road, so that's something to pay attention to. But, Emmett, you said that, folks have been talking about the Jets and having a tough training camp, tougher than it was last season. Well, here's Aaron Rodgers on exactly how tough that training camp's been.
I would say the camp is much harder this year and maybe the hardest in the last 7 or 8 of my career. I knew that. I had a little insight coming into camp that's what Robert wanted to do. So I think it's been good for us. There's a lot of different schools of thought, and there's always, people you can scapegoat as far as injuries and different things. But I think some of the older guys enjoy the, to steal a coaching word, the callous part of training camp where you're kind of grinding. And some people believe that although it puts more, strain on you in training camp, it actually gets you more ready to play when the season starts. And then some people believe the opposite.
Yeah, and I actually am with if you practice hard and camp is hard, you develop that callus. And, again, I could be completely wrong, but it feels like back when starters in the first game played, a series, then they played a quarter, then they played a half, then, when they went, it seemed like there were fewer injuries to bigger names. And again, just feels that way. There may be some data to disprove that, but that's the way it feels. And now you see a lot of people hurt in training camp or in the first 2-3 weeks of the season. And you can even look at Aaron Rodgers as the prime candidate, for that. And he didn't even get hit. This was just, a non-contact injury. So I subscribe to the callous side of the game.
I'm interested in how callous he got, right? I mean, look, I can see the rest of the team. I can see training camp being tough. I can see training camp being physical. I can see training camp, being long. I can see there's a lot of different things that go into training camp. Look, I just spent 17, 18 days in Costa Mesa, California with the Raiders. I saw it. I get it. It was long on me, and I had nothing to do on the field, right? I was worn out by the time I got back home. But I'll say this. How much callous do you think Aaron Rodgers really got in the training camp for the Jets?
Aaron Rodgers, I need to set that to the side. Everybody else needs to get callous, right? He put him in bubble wrap until the start of the season. Because think about it.
He's got to do something.
Hey, practice. Definitely practice. His cleats would not touch that turf, at MetLife until it's a regular season game. Because, and I hope they change the turf, that turf has ate up a lot of ligaments, a lot of knees, a lot of Achilles. And I wouldn't even want him playing at home in the preseason because if he pops that same Achilles or maybe the other one or something on that turf, then your season is over before it even begins. And you don't have Zach Wilson around to be like, oh, man, he's terrible, So you got to take care of Aaron.
Did you bring up Zach Wilson? Did you cape for him again?
Yeah.
Go on, ring the bell, man. Go on, ring the bell. Go on, ring the bell.
Come on, he was the whipping boy last year. It wasn't even his fault.
Hey, man, look, he's in Denver, man. Let him be in Denver, man. You ain't got to bring him up on this fine program we call Game Night on ESPN Radio on the ESPN app. You ain't got to do that, man. Zach Wilson ain't got nothing to do with this here conversation.
And
right?
he ain't had nothing to do with last year either.
Yeah, hey, look, he was part of it last year. Look, at one point with the Jets, period, he was one that was chosen to be that guy. Not that I thought he was ever that guy. Clearly he wasn't. Now he's got another opportunity in Denver, kind of, sort of. So we'll see. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But, you know, I could subscribe to what you're saying about not going to preseason games with Aaron Rodgers. But, look, in practice, these guys got the red jersey on. You think anybody's contacting Aaron Rodgers? You think anyone's getting near the legs of Aaron Rodgers? You think anyone's making him really get on his skates and run too much in practice? So that's why I asked the question. Like, the team